Hey everybody, good evening. Welcome to our fifth and final part of the first edition of the TCAT Speaker Series. Really excited coming off of our last session on financial aid. We had some really great feedback and really looking forward to today's session where we have about 6 panelists. Some of them you already know, and then we have a few other guest speakers who are Memorial alumni and former classmates of mine. So I'm really excited to introduce you guys to them, or actually have them introduce themselves to you. But quickly, just for some updates and agenda for today, I wanted to mention that we're going to start the session off by having each of the panelists introduce themselves. And then we've curated a set of questions that are relevant to high school, college, and postgraduate life that we're going to ask each of the panelists after those introductions. And then the last part of today's session, we'll be covering, we'll be doing some breakout rooms, and we'll be incorporating some of that networking or what we want to call speed dating for you guys to have a chance to meet each of the panelists in a smaller setting. And we'll finish off with some Q&A. So before we get started, I just want to recap TCAT's mission. So TCAT, which stands for Tiger College Advising Team, is a nonprofit meant to help students from high schools that are traditionally underrepresented in post-secondary education gain admissions to top-tier colleges at no cost. So TCAT's definitely been the highlight of my past year, and the speaker series has been a big part of that as well. So really looking forward to finishing it off today for now, and then again, taking your guys' feedback and recommendations so that we can start building out our second edition of the speaker series in the near future. So similar to last class, I know you guys have already, heard about me and heard me speaking a lot in the first few sessions. So last session we had Chris, take kind of my duty there. And then I just want to briefly kick it off with an about me. I know you guys already kind of know a lot about my path. So I started off at Memorial High School for 2 years and then transferred to Blair Academy. I graduated there in 2012. And then I went on to Wesleyan University for 1 year and transferred to UVA for 3 years and graduated from there in 2016. And I studied political science at the University of Virginia as well as Wesleyan. And I now work at Accenture as a management consultant. Just to briefly touch on some extracurriculars. So in college, I was a part of something called the Community Honor Fund, where we helped give non-predatory payday loans to employees at the University of Virginia. So for example, like those who worked on campus, such as like the dining staff and people who just did maintenance. And it was a really rewarding experience for me. And it's, kind of gave me an interest or led me to an interest in nonprofit kind of at a young age in college. So that was a huge part of my experience. And I quickly want to share my favorite Memorial memory. So it's kind of like, there's 2 sides to it. So my favorite memory is in 2009 when Memorial, our football team beat North Bergen for like the first time in, I want to say 15 years or close to that. But it was my best memory because earlier I was a freshman, and earlier that day I had played on the freshman team because we had a freshman football game and then we had the varsity game. And I ended up getting suspended and ejected from the game because we had the game came down to the wire, and they thought that I was part of a fight and I wasn't. So it was just kind of bittersweet, but then our varsity team beat North Bergen. So it kind of took away that feeling. So definitely my favorite memory, and won't forget that. But without further ado, we want to start off for you guys to meet our panelists. So Michael, we'll have you go first.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Michael. I use he, him, his pronouns. I graduated from Memorial in 2019. I graduated as valedictorian. In Memorial, I did student council, which is really fun. I also did chorus and select choir. My favorite memory is, I think it was my junior year. I went to Greece with a whole bunch of teachers. I went with Kornitzer. I went with Zapatera and a bunch of other teachers. I don't really remember them. I think Zakia also went, Miss Crystal. And that was really, really fun. I just remember like they'd like tape down our door so we like couldn't leave, but like it was fun. And now I'm a student at Yale. I'm a member of the class of 2023. I think I've finally decided on a major. We'll see. I still have a year, but right now I'm thinking about majoring in English on the creative writing track, as well as I'm planning on pursuing a certificate in Spanish. Yeah, I mean, I'm bilingual now, so I have to. And I co-founded the TCAT program in 2019, so last year, June of last year, so we're a little older than a year.
Nice. So next, we will have Liz.
Hey everyone, good to see you all. So my name is Elizabeth Aguirre. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I graduated Memorial in 2018, so I'm a year older than Michael. And now I study computer engineering at Johns Hopkins, and I'm having a minor in computer science. So I'm also one of the founders of TCAT. But my favorite memory, thinking back to Memorial, which wasn't even that long ago, but my sophomore year, I remember we were having field day, and I think like it was the first time that I wasn't a freshman, so I wasn't like being booed, but also I know like field day has had some issues in the past few years, but I remember that one being a lot of fun because we were able to like we were like throwing water balloons at everybody, and it was like a really good time. So I still think about that. So yeah.
Nice. And then Emmanuel.
Hey everyone, how's it going? So my name is Emmanuel Zapata. You may or may not know me, but I recently graduated from Memorial High School. I'm planning to attend the University of Virginia this fall, and I'm planning on going on the pre-med track. And my favorite memory of high school, I don't have a favorite, but if I had to choose, it's two of them. So like at first, junior year, instead of a junior prom, we had a class trip to the Poconos. I'm representing right here, Poconos. It was the best experience ever. Oh my God, we did everything. It was worth it. And then my second favorite memory was this year, senior year. It was during second period study hall with Mr. Kornitzer and a couple of my friends. Two of my friends, they're very political. They're on both sides. So like two different sides, one's on the right, one's on the left. And it was super fun. They debated every single time. And I learned a lot about like politics. And I also learned like about like what's going on in society today. And it was fun. That's me.
And then Jessenia.
Hi. So my name is Jessenia Castro. I graduated from Memorial High School in 2012. So I was classmates with Max back when he still attended Memorial, and also in middle school too. I went to Rutgers University and I majored in chemical engineering. I also had a certificate in packaging engineering and a minor in labor studies. So I graduated back in 2017. I also work at Accenture, just like Max does too. So I work as a management consultant there, specifically within the pharmaceutical industry. And I am also getting my master's part-time now at also Rutgers University, so a master's in business and science. I was pretty involved when I was in high school. I'm trying to think back to it because it feels so long ago. But I was in chorus and drama club and tennis and academic club and yearbook too. My favorite memory probably is to this day drama club though. I met some of my best friends there, friends who I'm still friends with to this day. And it honestly helped me build a lot of the confidence that I have today, just in terms of public speaking. It was one of the most fun experiences throughout the entire 4 years of high school.
Nice. I have to mention that your cat, Jessenia, is definitely intrigued by the call right now. I just noticed. I was like, wow, that's great camouflage right there.
Yeah, she's in the background. We have she's hiding from some dogs that some friends brought over, so I let her stay in the room.
We're happy for her to join. And then so we have Emilio, and then we'll finish off with Kevin.
Hey, what's up, everybody? So my name is Emilio Feliz. I was born in Dominican Republic, came here when I was 7, grew up on 50th and Hudson. So if you're around the area, holla at me. went to number 2 school, and then eventually made my way to Memorial, graduated class 2012, and then made my way to Rutgers with Jessenia, actually. I did a major in biological sciences, no minor. I did the pre-med track, and now I'm in Keck School of Medicine in Los Angeles, California. So, favorite memory, that's hard because there's so many to pick from. But like, I gotta copy Jessenia a little bit and say that drama club was definitely one of my favorite things. We used to come in on Saturdays, which sounds ridiculous. I know you're out of school, but like it was one of the most memorable parts of the day, because like the school is super empty, you know, it's super packed during the week. We got to build scenery like basically almost on our own with some instruction, and like we talked to friends for hours and hours. So it was really a good time. So happy to be here and happy to meet everyone here.
Nice. And last but not least, Kevin. Great picture, by the way. I think you're on mute, Kev.
Did you hear that?
It happens to me all the time. It's okay.
No, dude, it's because I never mute myself. So my name is Kevin Agudelo. I graduated from Memorial class of 2010. Then I went on to UVA and graduated in 2014, where I double majored in econ and anthro. Anthro, super cool major. Anyone thinking about it, you should try it out. Currently, I'm working as an accountant for a wine importing company. But don't ask me anything about wine. You know, I drink them all, but I don't know anything about them. And right now I'm getting my master's at NJCU, and I'm trying to get my CPA, Certified Public Accountant. Favorite memory from Memorial. Oh, and I was going to say, Emilio, number 2 school. I didn't even know you went to number 2 school, man. Number 2 represent. And I wanted to talk about drama real quick. I helped out in drama because of Hempel. Hempel, best guy, only reason I was in even helping out in drama. So I hope that's like part of the reason people love drama so much, because Hempel's the man. Favorite memory though, I was gonna say the pep rally. Let me give 2 real quick. We had a pep rally where people threw water balloons. Emilio, was your class in it? Nah. So we threw water balloons. The juniors started throwing water balloons with pee in them. The mayor was there, and pep rallies got canceled. I think the next 1 or 2 years. I'm not sure, but I know they were canceled for a little bit. So that was a really cool memory. And real quick, what was the other one? I was gonna say when I went to Greece and Italy with Max. I played a prank on my teacher with like 4 other students. We made pretend like one of my friends fell, and I have a video of it. I have to find it. But point is, she starts jumping up and down, all nervous, and yeah, I videotaped everything from around the corner. So yeah, that was high school.
I didn't know that was your class. Like literally, your class is Memorial like legend.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go.
Our class never got to do pep rallies as upperclassmen because of you guys. Ruined it for our class. We never had a pep rally as upperclassmen.
I know. Yeah, I know they were pissed about it, but that wasn't me. Okay.
No pun intended.
Meanwhile, I helped start like our Greek mythology club and like get together. We had a group that helped get a budget together through the board to go to this trip to Greece. And then Kevin and his senior friends wanted to join and ruin the trip for everybody after that because of that prank. But
I got lost like 5 times with my own group and then with another group from a school in Wisconsin. So
that's right.
Good times.
Oh, the nostalgia's kicking in. So I want to now, I know we've taken some time here and I want to leave some time at the end for our speed dating and our Q&A. So I'm going to start off with questions that are more geared towards our panelists' high school experience. So some of the questions will have multiple respondents. Some will have fewer. So we're just going to go with the flow. And we'll start off. So our first question is going to be for everybody on the panel. We'll start off with oldest to youngest. So Kevin, we'll start with you. It's what were the strengths and weaknesses of your college applications? What surprised you the most about the process?
In terms of strengths, I would say my my extracurriculars. I was president of Key Club. I have a long story about that, but president of Key Club. I was in Honor Society, which I'm guessing everyone at this point is, because I feel like always the top 20, top 30 kids are in Honor Society, I guess. What else did I do? I did a little bit of volleyball, but I was afraid of the balls hitting my face. There was a game that these kids were just hitting that too hard. So I got into swimming my junior year and senior year. So extracurriculars, GPA was good because we had AP classes, so our GPA can go up to like 4.5, 4.6. I don't know if that's still the case. And yeah, I think that's so weird. And then my essay was bomb because I had 2 English teachers look at it. So make sure you do that. And then the only like semi-weak thing, I guess, was my SAT. I took it 3 times and it was okay, but nothing too special. And honestly, nothing really surprised me about the process, I would say. I found a really good guidance counselor. I don't think he's around anymore, Mr. Cosgrove. And I guess I had done the research already. So in terms of being surprised, I don't know. I don't remember anything really surprising me.
Thanks. And then we'll go to Emilio or Jessenia. One of you guys, either of you two want to go first?
Yeah, I could start. So in terms of strengths and weaknesses, I'd say I'll start with weaknesses first. I'd say for me, SATs were pretty weak. I don't know what, there's a score change. It was out of 2400 before when I took it. Now I think it's out of 1600 or something like that. But I got a score that was representative of 33 percentile. I took it 3 times also. So shout out to Kevin, we 3-timers out here. And it ended up not going up to that all of the score anyway. My essay, I always had issues with writing and stuff like that. So my essays were like on the borderline. I did have people look it over, so I can't stress what Kevin said about looking things over with somebody who you trust and knows you for the best that they can, because that's going to be super key. And if it wasn't for that, I'd be having a whole different college experience, low key. And then in terms of strength, I think my GPA was strong, just like Kevin said. We had a lot of AP opportunities and honors classes, so that you were able to, if you did well, you were able to boost your GPA a little bit. And then also, extracurriculars. I was involved in a few things, like I mentioned, drama club for all 4 years. I was also in select choir. Mike, who said that, and choir for 4 years. And swimming for a semester, and a few more things here and there. It's hard to remember, but I think those were my strengths and weaknesses. Surprisingly about the process, it surprised me that colleges have different deadlines. I didn't know that. I thought we would just hand in. I don't know what the general college app is these days, but I thought it would just be, everybody's deadline is in one. So just make sure you look at whatever colleges you're applying to. Remember to look at if they're November or December or January. They can get confusing. You might accidentally miss one. So there's that.
Thanks for sharing. And then Jessenia, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So in terms of strengths, I was pretty well-rounded. So I was involved in a lot of things. So I always made sure to have one extracurricular in sports, one in academics, and one in music. So I was very purposeful about the way I chose my extracurriculars. And then I also had a good GPA. I was in the top 10, and in general had a pretty strong academic background, recommendations, and essay. And I think you're seeing this as a common theme was my SATs. Now I know that Emilio said that his were weak, but I recall since we were in the same grade, that you actually had a higher percentile than most of the people in our class. So one thing I think coming from Memorial, lower SAT scores were a very common thing as compared to the rest of the US. And so I think the misconception that I had, what surprised me, is I had a decent SAT score when I compared it to the rest of my classmates. But then when I actually looked at how I did and compared to the rest of the country, I did very sub-average. So that really surprised me. That also had a little to do on me too. I didn't realize how important the SAT was. Like when I studied for my SATs, I studied off of a book that was my older brother's that was like 2 years older than me. Something you definitely should not do. You should use a book from the year that you're going to take it, not a book from 2 years ago, especially because of how much they change it. So I think there were just a lot of things about the SATs that I did not know about, and it definitely lessened how good my application was.
Great. And then Michael or Liz, do one of you guys want to go first?
Sure, I'll go ahead. So I want to mention I'm maybe like a lot of you guys, I'm first generation college student, which means neither of my parents attended university. So just like when I think back to the college application process, that was such a stressful point in my life. And I'm really glad that I'm through with it. But with that, I remember having to navigate it a lot, like on my own. And I don't know, I didn't feel like I had the right guidance that I needed in order to push me and hold me accountable, because I guess my parents like weren't really on top of me. So I definitely like waited last minute to start them. But I guess like once I did, I knew what I had to do, but I wasn't good at keeping myself accountable. So I had extracurriculars. I made sure that I had some leadership positions once I realized like that's important towards the end of my high school career. So I was president of the National Honor Society. I was in student council. I was one of the founding members of the STEAM Academy that I know you guys have right now. I was in robotics. I basically joined like as many things as I could. I was also on the track team. And I guess outside of Memorial, I was part of my outreach mission or mom. So I had a lot of community service under my belt. And then what else did I do? I was a part of Governor STEM Scholars Program my senior year. So I found out about that a little bit late, and I remember I applied to this program. I was like, it's something outside of Memorial, like that must look good on the college app. So I applied to that, and I surprised myself by being accepted. What else? And then VITA. So if you guys are involved with moms, then you might hear about VITA, but it's a tax preparation program. So we were just volunteers, and we were working at a community center, and we prepared free taxes for the community. And actually, that's what I ended up writing my college essay on, that whole experience, because that was very transformative for me. I had never been a part of something that had such a big impact on the community. But I will say that just like the rest of my college application, I wrote that very last minute. I think I ended up writing it in like a span of 2 days. And then I was like, okay, like, hopefully this is good. I compared it to some like essays that I found online, and then I submitted that. But yeah, what surprised me the most, I guess, was how stressful it can be and how time consuming it really is, especially if you're applying to a lot of schools, which if you're low income, Memorial does give you fee waivers. So luckily I didn't have to pay for my college app, but I guess that opened up how many places I could submit my application to. So I was applying to like a few places here and there, and I guess that surprised me. But yeah, I definitely made sure to like tell my friends like, hey, like don't underestimate it, because you will regret it. So yeah.
Real quick, that's actually one of the things that surprised me through the process as well, was one, that there was like an application fee. It's like, what, we have to pay for our application? Like, isn't it supposed to be like accessible for everybody? But then You know, it was brought to my attention that there's like fee waivers. So like both of those things were kind of surprising to me, but definitely something good to take advantage of. And Chris talked about that last week during the financial aid session. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask us about that. And then Michael, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. So Liz is a year older than me, so I'd kind of seen her go through that entire process because we had taken AP Chem and Physics honors together. My junior year, her senior year. So we were very much like together for like half of the day, more than half of the day. So I kind of like saw her go through all of that, which meant that I had a better idea about what I was getting myself into. In terms of my strengths and weaknesses, what I will say is there's going to be an ongoing universal weakness for the most part about SAT scores, especially if you consider Memorial as a whole. If you look at the school's average, the average SAT score, I believe, from like 2018, 2019 is a 973. Of course, that's like not actual score you can get, but like that's an average. So it's like about a 970. And for reference, the average, the highest you can get is 1600 and the lowest you can get is a 400. So in reference to Memorial, I'll be completely blatantly honest with you guys. I got a 1400, which is really good in reference to Memorial, and it was the highest score for my class. But in reference to like students who are applying to Ivy League schools, it wasn't very high. That's not to discourage you guys because there's so many different ways to study for it. Like Khan Academy is a free resource, which you should definitely take advantage of to raise your score. Because your SAT score is very much just about how much effort you put into it. And I studied a lot for it. And if you study for it, you can go up to 14, 1500, even to 1600. In terms of, so with strengths, I also did really well with, I was a bunch of different extracurriculars. I had leadership positions. I pretty much had Elizabeth's same extracurricular load, except I also did chorus and select choir. But yeah, we had pretty much the same exact load, except she was like NHS president. Instead of that, I did student council president. So yeah, we had the same thing. My essays are really strong. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very proud of them, and there's something I use now as examples to go through the college application process and like kind of a good way to model. I wrote about my relationship with Latinidad, and I used an extended metaphor where I wrote about my grandmother's door, which was a really cool essay to write, and it's a concept that still really excites me. What surprised me the most about the process? So before I went to Memorial, I had gone to private school, kindergarten to 8th grade. And with that being said, from there, of course, I went to Memorial like 9th grade and on. But I was able to compare what students from Memorial were doing for the college application process as opposed to students from private schools. And to see students from private schools start getting SAT prep like freshman, sophomore year, and then to see people from Memorial not even worry about it till like October of their senior year was insane to me. So I think just like the lack of awareness really surprised me, but I'm glad that I was able to kind of raise awareness.
That's great. Yeah, and I definitely ditto on the private school experience. Like when I was at Blair, I noticed that, you know, a lot of these students had already been getting a bunch of SAT prep in 8th, you know, as early as 8th grade. And it was super surprising to me. But, you know, now Khan Academy was just kind of in its infancy stage when I was in high school, but now it's a lot more prevalent. So, you know, I mentioned it in one of our past sessions, but it's definitely kind of, you know, helped even the playing field a little bit since it's a free resource. So definitely, like Michael said, really highly recommend that. And then lastly, Emmanuel, you want to go ahead?
Hey guys, so since I recently graduated and I was a TCAT student myself last year, I feel like you guys could relate more to what I'm saying because you guys are a part of it too now. So like, it might be lengthy, but I feel it's worth it because I feel everybody needs to hear this. So what's it called? So I'm going to start off with my strengths, then I'm going to get into it later, straight up. So my strengths, my GPA was pretty strong. I feel like that was the best. That was like what carried me in my application process, being so serious. My GPA, probably my teacher recommendations because I had like very good relationships with my teachers. Like I used to like go up to them every time. I used to have personal conversations with them. And then I know this is not part of the application, but it can help. It's your interviews. I was given an interview for Cornell and I feel like I did very well. She also gave me, my interviewer told me I would be a very good fit at this school. She told me it went very well. So that I think those were my strengths. So going to my weaknesses, I had 2 weaknesses, but one of them got a little bit better. One of them was my extracurricular profile. I did a couple of things. I played 3 sports, STEAM Academy, National Honor Society, kind of generic, but I feel like I could have done more, which is something you guys could do. You guys have control of that. So, and then my other weakness was my essay writing. But here's where TCAT comes in. Here you go. So here's where TCAT comes in. So when I started TCAT, I didn't know what the goal was because it was like, it just started, right? So like, I didn't know what to expect. So like, I was just going like hoping for the best because I didn't see any results or anything. So, and then once I got all the work, I was like, oh my God, what is this? Oh my God, how am I going to get through this? This is pretty overwhelming. Mind you, I never knew anything about college. Like I was just like going with the flow. I was just like chilling. I just thinking like my GPA would suffice, but no. So like I went through that process and like, what's it called? It was pretty stressful. I wanted to quit, but like then I started to learn more about the program and like it was more than like a like essay writing. It was like a support group. So it motivated me to go get better and like I like changed my mindset from like not quitting to like keep on going, right? And then my essay writing just went up like that. Like I swear to God, my essays were like they were top notch. Like once I applied to all my schools, and like that's a massive thanks like Elizabeth, Michael, and everybody in the TCAT program. What else? I forgot. Damn, I have a lot to say. Okay, and then also it's like a support group. So like it helped me because as a first generation college student, my parents didn't know a lot about college. So like they didn't know the process. I didn't know anything either. So like they helped me a lot with it. Yep. So yeah. Okay. And then I just want to go ahead and talk about my SAT score, which is very important for you guys. Okay. So it was pretty low. Well, it was average, but it was pretty low if you like if you try to apply to like a top tier school. So for example, I'm just gonna say my SAT score. I don't care. It was a 1270, right, out of 1600. It's not, as Michael said, it's not competitive for Ivy League schools, but I still applied just to see what happens. And then I was pretty surprised. I was very surprised. So I got into UVA, Wesleyan, and Middlebury, 3 very good colleges. And then for Cornell, I didn't get in, but they gave me a transfer option, which is basically like if I maintain a certain GPA freshman year, I can transfer next year, and then they'll just accept me. But that made me like think like, why didn't I get into Cornell if they liked me so much? It was because of my SAT score, literally. Like, because if you think about it, if you look at those ratings online, like Harvard acceptance rate, Yale acceptance rate, all these schools' acceptance rates, they're very low. And if they see, and you see their average SAT score, right? If they admit me, for example, to that school, that their acceptance rates are going to go up. It's not going to look good for them, right? So I think that's one reason why I didn't get in, but I'm just telling you for future reference. If I could get it, if I could do that, you guys could do way better. You guys could do, oh my God, you guys, the sky's the limit for all of you guys. So yeah, that was my thing. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Manny. I am in total agreement about like in terms of like my weakness. It definitely was my SAT scores, and I actually have we haven't spoken about this, but I was going through the college football recruiting process, and I was looking at Wesleyan, Middlebury, like Manny, but the school I had wanted to go to was Cornell, and the coaches, like they had a certain basically like a baseline that needed me to hit, and I got like a 1760. And I needed a 1780, and this is out of the full score. I don't know if it's changed. So I literally needed like 20 more points, and that they told me that that's why I didn't get in. So if Manny didn't reinforce it enough, I think it's just really important to look back. And if I could have changed something there, it would have been to study a lot more for the SATs. So enough about high school for now. We'll come back to it. I do want to talk a little bit about college and our panelists' experiences. So we'll start off with, let's see why this is next. There we go. So the question is going to be, why did you choose your college? whether it's the location, financial aid programs, extracurriculars, school spirit, whatever it might be. And we're going to start off with Manny. We'll have you go first.
Okay, so my
Yeah.
camera's kind of messed up, but I'll continue. So what's it called? So this was pretty unique. It's very unique because these schools, I never visited them, and during the coronavirus pandemic, like it was basically impossible to go there, right? So then I just had to find an alternative. I was so lucky that Michael had a connection with Max, and then he could tell me about UVA and Wesleyan and Middlebury too, because he went to all those three schools. And then I learned more about the culture, about the financial aid, all the programs there are. He even connected me to like some pre-med students, some medical students too, which I extremely appreciate. And then I also went online for most of my information because I literally couldn't go. I also like attended some Instagram lives because that's what they were doing during the coronavirus pandemic to learn more about the school. And that's what I did normally. And then for academic wise, it really didn't matter because all three schools were very good. So like for me, it was just culture, like what are their values? What are the values of the school? That's what I took into account. And that's why I chose UVA, basically because of the financial aid, it was generous. So like I didn't mind. So for me, it was just the culture. The location didn't matter. It was just the culture primarily for me.
Nice. And we'll ask Liz to go next here.
Okay, let's see. So Hopkins, I didn't know anyone who went to Hopkins, and actually, if you Google the school, you might not see the most positive things. You might not hear about you'll hear about the environment being competitive, and that honestly scared me. But I looked into the program, and it's a really good engineering school, and it's in a city, which that was one thing that I needed was I need a city, and so it's Baltimore, and I honestly really like it here. I guess some things to know about Hopkins is you only have undergraduate on-campus housing for the first 2 years, and then after that you get to live off campus. So, you sign a lease and live wherever it is that you want. And so right now I'm in a house, and I was really looking forward to that. But when I did get to go visit, and so I really love the people that I met here. It's not a huge school, but it's a medium-sized school. So I do see familiar faces, but it's also new at the same time. And I think the size works for me because I guess the population here in terms of Latinx is smaller. So I feel there's a lot of opportunities, and we're really close. And I guess I get to do a lot here than I feel if I went to a bigger school, because it was so hard for me to choose. I actually chose on the last day that I possibly could decide. I also wanted to go to NYU, which is a much bigger school. But the size here, I'm really happy with my program. The financial aid was good. The opportunities that I'm working on, I feel staff here is really supportive of my ideas, and I'm really glad to be here. So yeah.
Thanks. We're gonna have two more. We'll do Michael and then Emilio.
Okay. Yeah. Hi. Okay. So I was put in a really, really lucky, I guess, place. So come decision day is May 1st. I was choosing between Yale, Columbia, Cornell, and Brown. I was at a really good place because I had all those decisions, which were really great. But then again, once you hear oh, an Ivy League school, it's kind of hard to differentiate. So then I really had to do a lot of research. So the reason I chose Yale was because, first of all, I love Yale's architecture. I think something that's kind of underrated. It's literally just look at a school. If you think it's pretty, that's important. You're gonna live there for 4 years. But besides that, I really liked Yale. So Yale has a culture that I really enjoy personally. They really emphasize the arts as well as advocacy and community service. So in terms of the arts, there's a bunch of a cappella groups on campus, which I personally really vibed with. So instead of we have frats and stuff, but instead of frats, we have a cappella groups. So instead of rushing a frat, you rush an a cappella group. which is really cool and like quirky to Yale. I also think that the fact that Yale really tries to emphasize community is another reason why I chose it. And in terms of the location, New Haven isn't the best area because Yale just doesn't really put as much resources into it as it could. But with that being said, there's a lot of space and time and occasion for advocacy and also for community service. But yeah, I really don't regret my decision whatsoever, especially since Yale's known for like English and psych.
Cool. And Emilio, do you want to finish up?
Oh yeah. So why did I choose? So I went to Rutgers University. Basically for a lot of the things that are actually written here. I wanted to be close to home, but not so close where I feel like I needed to live there, if that makes sense. There was also aid. Financial aid was a big thing for me because in-state tuition was a lot more affordable for me and my family at the time. And also to touch a little bit about what Liz said, I also wanted like not Rutgers has a city component in it, but I wanted a big college actually. Like I wanted it to be huge. And Rutgers has 5 campuses. Sometimes you got to take buses in the middle to get from one class to another. Has the second largest bus system in New Jersey, and I kind of like that low key. I kind of like having to. It's like I lived in my own little bubble, and I liked having that growth for myself. So I knew that coming in ahead of time. And then also, so I knew I wanted to be pre-med. I mean, I decided like in junior year or senior year in Memorial. So I knew that they had a strong support system for students of color who want to go into pre-med, and they just had these programs that like would help you with classes, help tell you what to do, how to apply it. And I didn't, coming from DR, I didn't have anybody who did really medicine here in the United States. So that was kind of big for me, that mentorship system. And I kind of made my way to Rutgers because of that. Also, because a lot of my friends were going and had accepted, and I knew that. So I was like, you know, this is a great place. I'm gonna be comfortable and uncomfortable at the same time. So like, why not go here? That's what I chose.
Emilio, you said that you decided around like senior year of high school that you wanted to be a doctor. I feel like we played baseball on Moose together, Moose Lodge for like the Little League baseball in West New York. And I think we all knew you wanted to be a doctor since like age 8 or 10, whenever we started.
I wanted to be an astronaut, yo. I wanted to be an astronaut. I want to go to space. But
then that might have been before Moose then. It was one of the two. All right, so we're going to move on to another college question, and this will be for Michael and Jessenia, or actually this is going to be for Jessenia and Kevin. So Jessenia, if you want to start off, let's get to the next slide. So how was your transition from high school to college?
Yeah, so for me, it was definitely a little hard because I majored in chemical engineering and also went to Rutgers University. But the thing about engineering is, I don't know, at least in my experience, everyone kind of comes from even for a state school like Rutgers, everyone comes from a pretty rigorous background. So there was kids that came from high school with an entire semester's worth of credit already. And it was pretty intimidating to be comparing yourself to people who just were at that level and not feeling like you were as prepared as they were. Honestly, what did help me with this transition was honestly just asking for help. I feel like people are so afraid of looking dumb that they're not willing to ask for help when they need it. And I was lucky and found a lot of support systems at Rutgers. I joined this organization called Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, and it was nice to be around people who also came from a similar background from me. So this organization had a lot of low-income people who were also doing engineering and could kind of understand the situation and relate to you, and that helped a lot with my transition.
Great. And then Kevin, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So I would say my transition was a little rough at first. I don't want to say rough, that sounds like a strong word. But so, you know, West New York is pretty much like 99.9% Latino, right? So when I went to UVA, it's first of all, it's like 6 hours away. I didn't know anyone there. It's 75% of the people that go there. I don't know if it's still the case. Might still be. 75% of the people that go there have to be from Virginia. They have like this rule. So that means only 25% of out-of-staters get into UVA. And so already everyone's from Virginia. You don't know anything about Virginia. And yeah, most of them are white. So at first, it was just a little bit like, you know, you start missing the bodega. You start missing the culture from here. You start missing your mom's food and all that stuff. So I would say all that hit me a little hard at first, but I had unlimited food from the cafeteria. So after like a month, you're feeling good. And then you start making friends. I would say after hopefully 2 to 3 weeks, you start meeting people. You're gonna meet someone. It's like no matter where you go, you're gonna meet someone in the hallway, by your dorm, in a club, and something. So that helped a lot. I had pretty cool roommates, except for one that was right next to me that had to play like super loud music at like 1 a.m. and he was just nobody liked him basically. So you're gonna have that. If you have a lot of roommates, you might have that one roommate you don't like. But yeah, aside from that, that was my transition. Basically, you know, if you go somewhere far, it might be a little bit of a culture shock, might be a little different at first, but you know, I think you adjust, and once you start meeting some people, everything gets a lot better, I'd say.
Yeah, I got lucky, so I transferred into Virginia your senior year, Kevin, I believe, right? Senior year. So
You did last years?
I was there. I transferred in my sophomore year. I believe you were senior year.
What class did you graduate?
2016.
Okay, I graduated 2014.
So yeah, when I came in, I didn't know anybody besides Kevin. So going back to our networking, this is why it's important to keep in touch with all your friends from high school, because you never know if you're going to end up going to the same school as them.
Time out. First of all, he's a football star. Second of all, he what is it? He came from a high school that you knew people like from boarding school or whatever, right? That went to.
Yeah, I definitely had the experience of like being like leaving West New York and doing boarding school for 2 years. That definitely prepped me. But in terms of like knowing people, I knew you and Mike Toby, the basketball player from Blair Academy.
Yeah.
So you tested the waters for me.
No, it's especially wild when you don't know, like when you walk in and you just like don't know anyone. Like Rutgers people, they know people. You know, it's pretty cool. You go over there, you know someone. But I will say it's nice to meet new people. Like when you go traveling and stuff, same idea. So cool stuff.
Awesome. So we are going to ask. We're going to skip a question here, just in the interest of time. So the question is going to be, what extracurriculars were you involved in? And we'll have Liz, Michael, and Emilio answer. So Liz, do you want to start off?
Sure. So I'm just finishing my second year of college. So I feel like maybe I should join some few more, but the main ones, I'm also in Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. I actually, in high school at Memorial, I got in touch with the Rutgers chapter. So they kind of inspired me, and I knew I was like, no matter where I go to college, I'm going to be involved with SHIP. And so now I'm president of our chapter here, and it's been like really rewarding to see it grow, because you would think maybe like at a school like Hopkins with such a big name that everything would be established, but I was surprised when I joined. It really wasn't. And so like right now I really am happy with the rest of my e-board, and we're like doing a really good job of like recruiting members. So that's been a lot of fun. I also am in Theta Tau, which is an engineering fraternity, and that was very new for me. I didn't expect myself to join something like that, but it's been really fun to network with like other upperclassmen, and I met a lot of like connections through Theta Tau, and so that's been also a lot of fun. I'm also on the FLY e-board. So FLY stands for First Generation Limited Income. So I got involved with that early on my freshman year because I wanted to also make sure that the community at Hopkins that was also FLY, like felt like they had a support system, because that was like very crucial to my first semester, especially at a new place that was far away from home. I wasn't used to the rigor of a competitive school like this. And so it was really hard for me my first semester, but joining the Fly network, I was able to meet upperclassmen who had been in who had gone through what I was going through. So that was really helpful. I'm also involved in that.
Nice. And then Michael?
Yeah. Okay. So I think during the quarantine, I committed to a bunch of things and leadership positions. So it's been a time, but as of right now, I know I mentioned Yale's acapella culture, so I'm in an acapella group. It's called Cadence of Yale. It's one of the newest acapella groups, and we're competition based. So we compete in the same acapella competition that they competed in Pitch Perfect, which is kind of cool. So we do that, and we sing also about like different kinds of issues plaguing society, which doesn't sound that positive, but it's kind of cool. So our first one was about like mental health and advocating for that, which is really interesting. Besides that, I'm a float leader. So that stands for first year outdoor orientation trips. So I lead like camping trips and backpacking trips. So I'm gonna actually get my first batch of kids soon, which I'm really looking forward to. Besides that, I'm in CAUSA, which is the Cuban American Undergraduate Student Association, and I am the one of the executive members for that, and I'm the event coordinator for that. What else? I'm in something called VITA, which I know a lot of you are probably familiar with, which is Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, and that's a program through the IRS. I did it all throughout high school, but I'm doing it right now through Yale and through New Haven. And so I'm a site coordinator, and I'm also the co-director of recruitment and retention. That's pretty much it, I think. I mean, there's some other things, but that's like the main gist of it.
Perfect. And Emilio, last but not least.
Hey, so extracurriculars in college. So, I kind of came into college thinking that like I really wanted to like focus on my classes first. So the way I took on extracurriculars is like I added a small amount first, and then as I got more comfortable with my classes and my workload, I was able to add in a little more. So the first thing I joined as soon as I got there was a salsa bachata club, mostly salsa though, because it was a huge part of my identity in Memorial, and I loved it. I used to do it for talent show. So things that you want to find what makes you in extracurricular activities, and just because you have a larger workload now and you want to focus on things doesn't mean you should lose yourself in the process. So I would reflect on what you think that is about yourself, and then over the years I just did things that I thought were really cool and I wanted to get to know. Like I joined an EMS class. I wanted to be an EMT. I did that for 2 years. I became an interpreter for New Brunswick. A clinic that was federally qualified. It's just like clinic serving underserved communities, which was important to me. And I also joined the co-ed professional medical frat that when we did a whole bunch of stuff, volunteering opportunities together. There was a lot of friendship there. I would say choose the things for extracurricular wise, things that move you. Don't just join because you want to check boxes, but join because you really feel passionate about them, and join them for a long period of time if you can. I feel like a lot of people would rather see like a small amount that you have a lot to talk about and contribute passion to than a large amount where you only spend like a little bit in each. You know what I mean? But that's kind of my thing on extracurriculars.
Great. Yeah, and I think a lot of you eventually, when you get to college, will be surprised about the multitude of extracurricular activities. Like at UVA, Kevin, you could speak to this as well. We had we had 2 days packing like the lawn, which is like a main section at UVA, and because there were so many clubs at this club fair that happens at the beginning of the year, they needed 2 full days. So and I didn't even know about some of those that you were part of, Emilio. But yeah, so just something to note. And then we're gonna have one more question now. We'll have 3 speakers. It's gonna be, what would you have done differently if you could redo your college experience? So we'll start off with Kevin, and then we'll go Michael and Liz after.
Okay, so in terms of what I would do differently, um, one thing that I'll say, and I know Max keeps talking about it, is just networking, networking, networking. It's literally like, especially if you go into business, but just in everything that you do, networking is super important. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, you should go to office hours. I went to office hours like maybe twice in my 4 years of college. I think Max probably went once, but you should all definitely go to office hours and just get to know the professor. They can write recommendations for you, which, like, if you don't know, your professor doesn't know you, you can't write a good recommendation. It's just going to be a super generic recommendation, if that. So I definitely would have done that, built those relationships. Um, and one thing, Emmanuel, I don't know where you're going to be dorming. Don't dorm in Gooch or I forget the other place, but basically try to dorm with a lot of people. We had the option of one bedroom dorms, but it was like a suite with 6 other people, but you had your own bedroom. And I didn't have my own bedroom growing up. I had the living room, so I was like, bedroom? That sounds really cool. But those dorms are more isolated, so I would say just like try to get yourself involved, meet some people. That'll make your college experience literally like the best ever. And what Max said, we had at UVA, we had these the volunteer groups. They set up like a career fair type thing. Go to career fairs, go to all those things. I'm not going to say I didn't go at all, but I probably went like once. There's so many resources that you can use in college, and I just don't feel like I took advantage of it to the max. So it takes a little work to maybe find those resources or know the right people, but they're out there. And some colleges are really good about letting you know like those resources and what you have. So I would say, yeah, use what is given to you.
Nice. Liz, do you want to go next?
Or
And we'll finish up with Michael. Whichever one of you guys want to go first.
I'll go. Okay, so in terms of what I would do differently, I mean, I've only spent a year so far, but I feel like I came into college with kind of like a defeatist attitude where I knew like Yale's super competitive. Well, I mean, admissions process is competitive. Culturally, it isn't. But I wish I didn't. So essentially, I mean, this might be like my own coping mechanism, so let's not like, go too deep in there. But I think this might be true for a lot of people. If I see that something's gonna be like super, super competitive, and I know like if I work really hard, I'm gonna get a B regardless of if I work hard. If I don't work hard, then like why work hard when I could do something else and enjoy like my life? But then I think I just came in thinking it'd be impossible and knowing that I knew right away like I wouldn't be the smartest person at Yale. I mean, clearly it's Yale. But I wish I would have worked harder and actually spent time in my academics. I think partially it was burnout from high school because I really worked hard in high school. But yeah, I wish I would have just gone into it with a better mindset, knowing like, yes, I might not be the smartest, but also I'm gonna work my butt off to like do well. So like it's not like I like failed out of any classes or anything. I just like didn't get like I know students who got like straight A's at Yale, and like that could have been me, and unfortunately it wasn't. But I can definitely like get on that, and I have so much time to redeem myself, which I'm really glad for.
Thanks, Michael.
And then Liz, we'll go with you.
Okay. I'll mention 2 things. So I'm only in I'll be entering my 3rd year. So thinking back to my first semester of college, this is like what has defined my college experience, and I changed so much after it because I really was like just diving into the waters that I didn't know. So I feel like I made it my fair share of mistakes then. One thing is I would tell myself like ask for help. I was a freshman, didn't know anyone there. Didn't know like the classes that I was taking. I took like one coding course before, like at Memorial my senior year, but really I didn't have much experience. Wasn't used to the rigor, but I felt like a lot of the times, I guess in Memorial, or I had always been independent, always like searched out for resources like on my own. I felt like I had to do everything myself. I also was like, okay, I made it this far. I know I belong here, so I'm gonna push myself and I'm gonna prove to everyone that I belong. And like I had nobody to prove this to, but definitely like asking for help. I remember once I had this coding exercise and it was like my first one and it was very difficult, and I was complaining to an upperclassman and she was like, I have a friend who can teach you, like help you with that. And I was like, no, like it's fine. Like I'll just stay up really late and work on it. And she's like, no, like I know someone who can help you. They took this class. And then she literally dragged me to the library and I met up with her friend and he helped me. And I was like, why didn't I like think to ask sooner? So definitely ask for help when you need it. And then maybe the last thing I'll mention is learn how you study best, because it might not be in a group, because I wanted to be with my friends a lot and so I was like in group studying, but then I realized like that's not how I work efficiently. So it's about time management, get my work done first on my own, and then I can go socialize. So that's what I do.
Perfect. Thank you guys for finishing up the college section. We're now gonna skip briefly into our panelists who have some professional experience. And we are gonna start with Jessenia, and then we'll do Emilio and Kevin. So let's skip ahead here. So what would you say are the most important habits to learn early on? And Jessenia, you can start, yeah.
So I would definitely say, and I feel like we're getting repetitive, but it's important, networking and communication. So it really, really does make a difference. It's not to say that the people who you know is enough to get you somewhere successful, but it can definitely help ease things, and just really open up opportunities. And then in terms of communication, why I say this is so important, it's, when I was in college and even now in professional career, one thing that I've noticed is you can have a good GPA, you can, have an excellent resume, but if you don't know how to talk and don't have, good communication skills, can't get your point across, then it's not really worth much. People will value someone who can communicate well and maybe has a slightly lesser resume, because it makes a huge difference. So put yourself in uncomfortable situations now while you're still young and you have time to grow your communication skills, so that later on when you are further in your career, you've practiced so much that you're that much better at it.
That's super well put. I completely agree. And I know, Kevin, you were just talking about this. So for this question, we'll just have Emilio go ahead and finish this one up.
Yeah, no doubt. So another one I would say is time management. I feel like time management is so important, especially when you are when you go into a lot of classes and there's so many things to do, but you still want to have time to. You want to study smart, not study hard, is what the whole line is. But I feel like time management, like setting schedules for yourself. You could do it by times during the day. Like at this time, I'm gonna do this, or you can do goal oriented. You don't have to be you don't have to be so rigid as to follow to like order everything you do in a day. Sometimes for me that's a little bit, when I feel inflexible, it's a little bit like I can't breathe. So I'm a goal oriented time management person. I just say that on this day I'm gonna complete these 3 things, and once I complete them, I do whatever else I need to do. So time management is really big. Another one that's maybe a little bit more, a little less like easy to see, but it's positive self-talk is what I call it, because I feel like it's been touched on a little bit. Coming from Memorial into new spaces where the people don't look like you, and like you're often telling yourself, "Oh, I'm not like I don't belong here," or "I'm not good enough," or all these things. It's important to identify the negative things you say about yourself, so you could reframe it and sort of talk positively into you, because you're gonna keep stepping into smaller and smaller spaces as you get on in your career, whatever you want to do. And I feel like if you were able to build that fast, you'll just have a more confident outlook, and it just, for mental health wise, it's better for you. You'll be much happier in whatever it is that you do. I feel like those 2 skills are really important to learn very early.
That was super well said. Emilio, the doctor, life coach, wellness coach. I need to like ask you more about this. All right, so we only have 2 more questions, guys, so we're almost done. For this next one, we're gonna have Jessenia and Kevin answer, and it's gonna be, what's your favorite thing about life post-college?
Honestly, for me, it's how much I feel like I'm still learning. Um, and I'm still getting my master's, but just in terms of even in my professional career, I feel like you're always learning so much. And for me, I love learning. It's something I love to do. I love challenging myself, and I definitely thought that once I ended college, that kind of would stop. So it was just nice to see that as a person, there's still so much to grow in, um and just so many areas where I can challenge myself.
Great, and then Kevin, do you wanna?
Yeah. I just want to start by saying, I know you've all probably heard this a million times. I remember in Memorial in the auditorium, when people would come speak to us, one thing they'd say is time just flies. And Jessenia, are you 25 yet? Yeah, you are, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially
I'm already 25.
yeah, my mom's always said after you hit 25, time just like flies, and it's so true. So I just want you guys to like really understand that. And the best part about post college and being able to work right now is just thinking about my future and what I want to accomplish. Like now I'm at the time in my life where I can really work on that really hard for the next couple of years, and then just get there, and then hopefully be in a good place in my life where I can kind of chill, you know. And another great thing about it is being able to treat like my family and just people that I love to things, you know what I mean, now that I have the money to do so. So just the freedom that I've gotten after college has been really awesome. I would say those are the best things post college.
Great. So we have one more question. I think it's arguably the most important question tonight for me. And we're going to have everybody respond. I think we're going to be losing Jessenia, unfortunately. So I'm going to have her answer first. But before she does, I just want to thank you so much for joining. And I know we went a little over time here, but it's been such a pleasure. And I think it's been super helpful for everybody. And I definitely look forward, to keeping in touch. And TCAT does as well. So we are going to go ahead here with the final question. If you can go back to your high school self, what would you say, Jessenia?
Honestly, if I could go back, I'd probably tell myself to, one, study for the SATs more, but also just appreciate the time you do have. Honestly, you'll never have as much free time as you do when you're in high school. And you'll never have all of your friends live as close to you as you do when you're in high school, especially once you get to college. And it's something you take for granted, just having your friends so close and all this time to hang out with them. And I definitely wish I had appreciated it more.
And we can go free for all. Whoever wants to go next.
I could go. So first off, I would talk to my sophomore self and yell at myself and tell myself not to dye my hair blonde. That was a terrible idea. Don't do that. But after that, I would tell myself to slow it down a little bit. I'd remind myself that yes, it's important to get into a top tier school, but not sleeping, not exercising, neglecting like your mental health isn't necessarily worth it. So with that being said, I think, yes, I'm so glad to be at Yale, but also like, if it means like, I don't know, if it means really neglecting your mental health or like neglecting something about yourself that's like, that's important, I would just address maybe looking into that. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's the main thing. I'd remind myself to slow it down and really just like enjoy high school. I really got to do that my senior year, but I wish I would have done that for the rest of my high school career.
Yeah, I would say to myself that standardized test scores do not define who you are. I feel like I internalized a lot of the negative things that came from the SATs while I was going into college, and it went into a lot of sort of an imposter syndrome sort of transition into it. I would say that applications can be discouraging because, well, to me, applications were discouraging because of that fact. And I would challenge you all, if you feel ever discouraged because you're just afraid or that you're not good enough, to remember, first of all, you're in TCAT, which means it tells me you're like super goal oriented and want to like do the best you can for your college. But also think about all the experiences you've been in through Memorial, all your friends that you impacted, your teachers that you impacted, if it's imams, the community, and how much you've positively impacted that person or those people. And remember that you deserve this application. You deserve to be where you want to be, and you deserve to apply and be confident about yourself in that process. So I would tell myself that for sure.
I'll go.
Awesome. So we have Kevin, Manny, and Liz. Oh, you got it, Kevin.
Yeah. I don't want to repeat too much of what everyone said, but I really agree with what they said. Like I said, time flies. So appreciate high school, because everyone in here, I'm sure everyone here pretty much for the most part is in like 2 or 3 clubs, have a really good GPA, they check all the boxes. So I would say just slow down a little bit, take it easy, but obviously, get your stuff done, but appreciate those moments. High school is 4 years, and then appreciate college also. Those 4 years go by super fast. So really think about all your experiences and your moments. And if I can go back, the only thing I would change is I suggest everyone, or most people, go into a sport. I wish I would have started swimming my freshman year of high school. So that's my only regret.
I think I'll go next. So Emilio said this back like a couple questions ago, but I feel like if you know how to manage your time efficiently, then you can get more stuff done. You can enjoy yourself. That's one thing I lacked. For me, it was just like all education and like some sports on the side. Like I use sports and like weightlifting and to help me out. But yeah, if you can learn how to manage your time efficiently, like you're gonna have so much time to do whatever you need to do. It's not even funny. So yeah.
Okay, and I'll end this. So something I would tell myself is something that I want to tell all of you. Don't underestimate yourself. Just because you may not know someone who's pursuing the career you're dreaming of, or who goes to a school that you've only like heard of on the news, doesn't mean that you can't accomplish that. It doesn't mean that it's not possible. And even if you don't know what it is that you want to do, you still have time. You'll figure it out. Just give it all you got. And at the end of the day, it's really up to us to, make history for West New York and be proud of where you come from, and do it for, I guess, the future generations. And so I hope like you guys see that we're all here like thinking about you all, and like we want to see you guys succeed. So, do it for yourself.
Perfect way to end on the panel. And I see we're at 9:16. So we're going to go ahead and save the breakout room session for one of our future speaker series sessions. We'll make sure to bring it back. But I do want to get the value out of the Q&A. And I know we lost Jessenia and she had to go, but after this class, we'll be sending out an email with all of the panelists' contact info, and she's more than happy to answer any questions. So don't feel bad if you didn't have a chance to ask her. But yeah, I think we can go ahead and open it up to Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put on your mic and camera, or you can just share in the group chat, whatever you'd prefer. So I see the first one. Does Memorial pay for everything whenever you apply to colleges? Do one of you recent grads want to speak to it?
So if you get free or reduced lunch, you qualify for an SAT waiver, I believe twice, and then your subject test also. You get 2 for free. So you don't have to worry about that. You also get the Common App is free. You also get to fill out your financial aid, the CSS profile for free. And then most colleges, if you sign up for their mailing list, will keep you in touch and also send you college waivers, but guidance can also do that for you. So when you apply for college, there are some benefits that you receive if you're on free or reduced lunch. So definitely ask your guidance counselor and they can help you with that.
Also, just to add on to what Liz was saying, if you're not on free or reduced lunch, one thing that you could do is you could literally just email your one of the admissions counselors for that school and just tell them that like you can't afford it and that's too much money, and they'll usually give you a fee waiver, which I know may seem a little scary, but it works.
I want to answer Kelsey's. Were any of you torn between 2 schools? If so, how did you decide? Yeah, I was really torn between NYU and UVA. But it's, it's kind of simple. The way I chose was I was looking for the best business schools in the country. UVA was up there, NYU Stern, a couple other schools. And so I would base it off like, which one's a better school. You got to look at the options. So school A better than school B, well, there you go, school A. But then obviously if it's too expensive or whatever the reason is, so then we'll get into that. With NYU and UVA, both great schools. NYU's right here in New York, so I knew like I would get internships and all that right away. The problem was financial aid. So that pretty much UVA was giving me like a full ride pretty much, and NYU was paying like $20,000 a year out of $50,000. NYU is super expensive for anyone that has applied there, and it's private school. They don't give that much money. I don't know if that's changed. But yeah, that aspect of it is a little tough, but that, take the loan. It doesn't matter. Take the loan. You'll pay it off. Like, you'll do well in college, you'll get a good job, you'll pay off that loan. So just don't worry about that aspect of it. So I based it on financial aid. Also, I would go visit the school, see which one gives you a better vibe, the culture and everything. So culture, financial aid, which one's a better school overall. And then also if like you don't want to go too far, obviously you'll pick the closer school. So you have a whole bunch of options. So just look at your pros and cons and make your decision like that.
I could answer the next question, Kat's question about having strict parents. So I personally did not have super strict parents. I mean, they were strict like growing up and stuff, like freshman, sophomore year, but then eventually they lightened up a tiny bit. What I will say that's a pretty good argument is your parents raised you. They know exactly who they raised. So if they raised you well, then they should trust you. But let's not talk about like parental philosophy that much. I will say that at the end of the day, if you're getting into like a top tier school, then you're going to get more opportunities there. And it's kind of inevitable. Like you're going to pretty much have to dorm no matter where you go, unless you end up staying very, very, very local. Like I'm talking Stevens or maybe NJCU or like any of the state schools, but even like Rutgers, it'd be kind of hard to like commute and drive like 40 minutes to an hour per day. In terms of like, I guess with keeping in touch with my parents and stuff, once I got to college, I think there's just like an agreement where like I'd talk to them or call them like once a day, sometimes less than that if I was super busy. And I think they just kind of got to understand that, especially as I like sought to create my own schedule, which like definitely like it's not necessarily feasible to call every single day, but like you'll get there, and then it's easy, like in terms of like calling, like when I was walking to like my STEM classes on Science Hill, which is like a 15-minute walk, I could like talk to my parents if like none of my friends were there, So like it was very much like, oh my God, Mom, you won't believe what this person said. So like it's really nice to have that like peace from home. I like promise you, even if like I know high school, like you've spent probably anywhere from 14 to 18 years in your house with your family. So it gets suffocating. 18 years with the same people, of course it's going to get annoying. But once you leave to college, you're probably going to want to like maintain that relationship, or at least I wanted to.
Cool. And I see Steven's question here. how much distance from home play a role in choosing a college. So similar to Manny, I also was choosing between Wesleyan and Middlebury for football, and both schools were really close to one another for me. But I ended up deciding on Wesleyan because one, I wanted to be close enough for my parents to come see my football games. But I think more importantly, I just wanted my mom to like drop off like ropa vieja, aro con gris, and like put it in like, just because if I was in Middlebury, Vermont, she wouldn't have been able to make it up as often. So I definitely had like my care packages like freshly delivered. So that was a big deal for me. But then I transferred to Virginia, and at that point I just really wanted to focus on the school culture, spirit, education. So distance from home didn't play as big of a role, but you're just so caught up at school with schoolwork and extracurriculars, it's hard enough to balance. So and you get long enough winter vacation, like spring break, winter break, summer break, that you're going to be able to spend a lot of time at home. So it kind of worked out spending 3 years at UVA, even though, like Kevin said, it's a 6-hour drive. It ended up being not too bad.
Well, I guess I'll for the next question for Eileen, if there are any advice for students who started taking rigorous courses late and wanted to attend top-tier schools. I'm not sure like how late you mean exactly, but I feel like if you feel that there's not that much time left for you, sort of thing, I would, and you started being involved in these, I'd say clubs, I would say try and take like try and focus on paying attention from now until whenever it is that you apply to any important moments that you could reflect on. So if one thing happens in each of the clubs that you joined, you know, like for example, let's say in the next 3 months you have only joined that club for 3 months, but then if you actively focus and pay attention to maybe something within those 3 months that impacted you strongly, then you could essentially like take that one moment and turn it into a whole like thought process that it was meaningful to you, sort of thing. And that's because I feel like that's the kind of thing that they want, like the schools, they want to say you're passionate about these experiences. So maybe you weren't there for that long, but you found something that was really important to you and that you could talk about, and that's important, being able to talk about it. In terms of rigorous courses, I feel like it would still be okay. I mean, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but as long as you can probably still fit it in, the like if it is that you want to show that you can perform well in these courses, if you can still fit it into your college apps, I think there's still time for that. Correct me if I'm wrong, at least for the first semester. I mean, for the first report card. But I think the courses are a little bit like you can just do the best you can on them. And then for the clubs, I would suggest finding us like just focusing on things from now on that have impacted you strongly.
Yeah, I think something else that is important is like, of course, it'd be ideal for you to have taken like honors and AP classes since freshman year, but if that's not the case, it's still a great story that, or like great to see in an application that there's an upward trend. So if you say you didn't take any honors classes your freshman year, but you took some your sophomore year, you took a bunch your junior, and now your senior year, you're like loaded up taking honors and AP and super classes. That's still a valid story to say. And also with your application, there's a small section at the end about like extraneous like circumstances. So maybe something happened at home, which was why you couldn't take these honors classes freshman year. You could explain that. So that's something that's also really important.
And
Yeah, and
you can,
go ahead.
sorry,
Lisa.
I was just going to say, like, again, yeah, like upward trend, great. But also you have the SAT to prove like your strength, like that you're a good standardized test taker, because the SAT is really just like strategy. And there's a lot of free resources out there on how to study, but it's just like a game pretty much. If you can get good at these types of questions, then you can do really well on the SAT. And that is also really impressive.
And real quick, a thing I'll add that Emilio had mentioned, and Liz and Michael as well, is about the trajectory, is they want to see how you change over the course of your high school career. So even if it's late in the process, like Emilio said, if you find a club you're really interested and passionate about, and you feel like there's a change that can be made, even if it's 3 months, even if it's 2 months, if you were passionate about something and were able to make a significant change or whatever it might have been, you know, you can spin it around to make it sound like, oh, wow, in only 2 months, they did this, and that. So I think that's something to keep in mind. Like, don't discourage yourself. Just, you know, you can use time to your advantage in that sense. So all really good responses, and I think that's a great question.
I'll answer Francisco's question on, do you have any advice on how to manage your expenses correctly once in college? As an accountant, I only have one method that I feel like you have to do this if you really, you know, it depends how tight you are on your budget, but I would say make a budget. Go into Excel. You can look up on YouTube or you can ask me. Make a good budget showing all your daily expenses, add them up. Also, I would suggest, if you can, to get a credit card. That being said, that's only if you're responsible. If you're gonna go ahead and just go online shopping, go on a shopping spree, no. But I would suggest a credit card because it'll give you credit for the future, which you will need after you graduate college, most likely. And then that way you can download your statement and you can upload that to Excel and track everything. Also, in terms of getting money in college, I know there's like work study programs. I also know a lot of people that have part-time jobs, like waiters, waitresses. They make really good money, especially in a college campus. It might not be the funnest dealing with a whole bunch of drunk kids. That being said, the tips you get are pretty good usually. So, yeah, in terms of expenses, that's what I would suggest.
And lastly, looking at Eileen's question on how to choose an essay topic for college applications. So this is really like more so my expertise. You want to keep in mind, this is something like Max said again, like if you think about networking and like the USPs and all that stuff, which are the unique selling points, your whole application is a method of showing exactly who you are. With that being said, you're going to have like your extracurriculars, which are very much like evidence of the things that you're passionate about. But on top of that, I think essays are a great way to show that. With that being said, different essays, different schools offer different prompts. So there's the Common App essay, if you're applying through Common App, of course, which is the main way you'll apply unless you're through QuestBridge. But with the Common App, you write one big essay. It's, I think, 400 to 650 words. You don't have to hit exactly 650. You don't have to hit the maximum for any of the essays. But of course, you do have to hit the minimum. With that being said, you kind of want to think about how you want to market yourself and how different parts of your application paint you in different ways. So I could kind of talk a bit about like what my application looked like. So of course I wrote the essay, like the cultural essay, about myself and like my views on like Latinidad and how they've grown and changed. And I think that was a really great Common App essay because it very much kind of showed who I am. So with your Common App essay, generally speaking, you want to choose something that is kind of, there's two kinds of essays. There's like one that's like super quirky and fun. Those are good, but also if you really want to like move the admissions officer, you might want to talk a bit more about maybe something that's a little harder for you to talk about. With that being said, you don't want to open up so much that you're just kind of throwing a bunch of things onto them and like you're talking to them about like all your like emotional turmoils. That's not great either. You want to find a happy medium. But yeah, I think you want to definitely give something meaningful. And then for the other essays, you want to really make sure that you paint yourself in a good lighting and you have it really, I guess, make sense. I don't know. Like for me, my application, all of it was kind of geared towards looking like, showing that I'm a student who likes to help my community. So whether that be like one essay I wrote about, they asked me about a community I was engaged with. I wrote about like VITA, preparing taxes. Another one, they asked me about my favorite extracurricular. I wrote about, chorus and my love for music. And then I connected that to singing for the special needs kids from West New York, I think like junior year. So like you really want to make sure that you're painting yourself in a specific way, but I would say just for choosing an essay topic, you want to start off with a narrative, then from there, I guess, break it down and really analyze it. I know that was a lot.
No, that was perfect. And I think it helps us kind of close out on the note that, you know, these are really great questions. And as a matter of fact, I'm like, you know, saving some of these questions because, you know, looking forward to our next speaker series, we definitely are already planning / want to incorporate these things. So for example, there was a question on kind of budgeting, how to budget in college. And I know some of you guys were asking Chris Dorn about that on our financial aid call last week. So we're definitely, you know, trying to, you know, help out in some sense and try to incorporate it into the program. But additionally, you know, with regards to the questions about the essay, we're looking to incorporate kind of like a mock interview format, whether it's breakout rooms or workshopping within the speaker series. And then somebody else was asking about colleges, like how do you decide between two colleges? And we're looking to do a sort of college expo where we, similarly to today, have like a panel where we have representatives from different colleges so that you guys can start to learn more about the other schools out there. So really excited about that. And I know it's our last class, but it's only the first edition of the speaker series. We'll have another. And, you know, I want to, first off, I know, Kevin, you have to go. So to the panelists, to our guest speakers, thank you so much for joining. I think a lot of the students were very engaged, and I'm super thankful for you guys being here. You know, I feel like I know you guys pretty well, and I know Jessenia is in here, but I even learned a ton. And I think I mentioned it after each of you guys spoke. So, you know, really a great feeling, and I'm looking forward to you guys, you know, being in touch with TCAT. And I know you guys were open to sharing your contact info if anybody had questions. But again, lastly, thank you guys so much. And I encourage you guys, you students, to feel free to reach out to them with any questions, practice those networking skills. And secondly, thank you to you students for joining and being a part of the speaker series. I know it's late on a weekday, but week in and week out, there's been great engagement, great feedback, whether it's you guys creating your LinkedIns, reaching out with your elevator pitch and asking for editing. And ultimately, like, you know, it's only been, I guess, I'm looking at it on the short side, like 8 years since I've been at Memorial, but, you know, thinking back, it feels like it's been such a longer time than that. But engaging with you guys, meeting with you, and getting to know you has just been really such a special part of the past year for me. And it's been amazing to be a part of TCAT. So on that note, please keep an eye out for our email, following up on the session, recording, along with the panelists' contact info. And please don't be shy to reach out, and don't hesitate at all. We're always here. And that's what, you know, this is all about. We're a support group. And I hope this panel showed you guys that, you know, one way or another, whatever our background is, we started off in Western New York and we were able to find a way, you know, to achieve our dreams, whether they're college or postgraduate dreams. And you guys can do it too. And we're here to help you and show you that. So thank you guys so much. And I'm looking forward to working with you guys. This isn't the end at all.
Again, I just want to echo everything Max said. Like, yes, thank you so much, Max, for leading this all. Thank you so much to everyone who's come. So Chris, Emilio, Jessenia, Kevin, Manny, literally everyone, Liz, obviously, Sarah and Eric for leading breakout rooms. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you. I'm super excited to see where this goes. Don't worry, we won't burn you out too much. It's not like we won't have one next week. This is our last one for a while. But thank you so much for coming, and it really means a lot. And I hope this was helpful. And this is all information I know I wish I would have known. And I hope that it'll help enrich your lives somehow.
Thank you, everyone.